gotta take a stand. You know your life is grand. You gotta love your life. You gotta live like it's right.
Hey, thanks for tuning into It Is What It Is, Noise Included. This is Liv. Welcome to episode 7. So today's topic idea was suggested by my eldest daughter. She's feeling a little scared because some of her friends are starting to lose their parents. To me, that hits home, and it is very scary when you're that young. She's in her late 20s, and if this is going to be happening, then these girls need to be prepared. It's something super, super sad, okay? So I'm going to just give you a heads up that you've been officially welcomed into my chaos. And although I think that by listening to my stuff, this might make you feel a little normal. Now, don't ask me what normal is, but I will say that it might help you in some form. So there's a unique sorrow in losing a parent so young, especially the ones whose light shone brightest for you. You know, he vanished from my life just as it was truly beginning, missing every graduation, every tender moment with his grandchild or grandchildren, and every joyous celebration. And as the years unfold, the vibrant image of him, once that was so clear, begins to blur at the edges. But I grasp onto each memory like fragile treasures, holding them close, for they are and always will remain a profound love that still shapes who I am. Yeah, I had to swallow right there because that was a little hard to say. As the eldest female of 3, the absence of a strong male figure in my day-to-day was, well, let's just say it added unique flavor to my childhood. Both my parents worked, but my dad was undeniably the breadwinner. A title I now understand probably felt less like a crown and more like a very heavy, very expensive hat. Looking back, I get it. It must have been brutal to work all day and then face the monumental task of feeding 5 hungry mouths and footing the bill for Catholic school, because apparently public schools in the U.S. were comparable to the degenerated, filled public schools back in their home country. Now, I just want you to know that my parents were not so educated on the public school system because they would have been able to save a lot of money. Nothing like a little parental fear-mongering to keep you on the straight and narrow. So now my dad, he was super bougie, even though our actual living situation was, let's say, humble chic. If we went to the mall, he'd laser focus on whatever shirt was dramatically draped on the display mannequin. Sale or no sale, price be damned, he wanted it and he got it. A man of refined taste, clearly. And if he saw anything he wanted to buy from my mom, guess what? It didn't matter. He just would buy it. That's who he was. My mom, on the other hand, was the undisputed queen of frugality. Our entire wardrobe was practically a curated collection from the clearance section. So while Dad was rocking the latest full-price display item, we were all proudly sporting last season's deepest discounts. It was quite the sartorial paradox in our household. She still has poor man syndrome. This is a true thing, people, okay? When I take her out to dinner, she starts saying, well, how much is that? And how much is that? I'm like, listen, you want lobster and steak? Order it. Stop asking how much it costs. That is poor man syndrome. All right, so my dad had this rather direct philosophy on wealth acquisition. If you ever want to be rich, he would say, you need to live amongst the rich. And with the rich come the white. Because if you live around the poor, you'll just end up in the ghetto. And then you'll marry ghetto. This is a real theory of traditional assimilation. And to my surprise, he wasn't wrong. So despite this rather cut and dry theory, the man always found a way to live well, eat good, and plant us firmly amongst the affluent. He was a master of aspirational real estate, even if our bank account wasn't always on the same page. My dad, God bless his adventurous soul, held a very special role at a company called Grumman, Long Island. This was in New York, where they apparently built pieces for actual spaceships. Yes, spaceships. So naturally, when Grumman decided to boldly go where no aerospace company had gone before, aka out of business, Dad transitioned to the equally glamorous world of machine screw operating. Now, let me make you understand this. In the 80s, screw machine operating was big because things were just starting to develop, okay? Now, this wasn't just any screw operating. Apparently, only one person on the planet truly possessed this mythical skill, and that person was my father. This made him highly sought after, leading to job offers that essentially forced us into a nomadic existence, moving whenever his singular talent was required. Dad was an adventurer, a free spirit, and a loving, kind human. But most importantly, he was a Libra. Funny how I married a Libra and they share the same birthday. They say you marry someone like your parents, and while I didn't marry a spaceship part manufacturer, the Libra thing is uncanny. Who knows? Maybe it's destiny. I do believe in destiny. Dad was absolutely the life of the party, always surrounded by a rotating cast of compadres, which, for people who don't know what compadre is, it's friends who transcend mere friendship and become brothers. And I'm proud to say the apple didn't fall far from the tree in that regard. I, too, boast an impressive collection of friends and possess a formidable party animal spirit. And if you don't see that now, I don't know when you're going to see that. So here's a fun tidbit. I love to casually drop into conversation, mostly because it makes me sound way cooler than I am. So my dad originally waltzed into the United States not as a hopeful legal immigrant, but as a professional soccer player destined for glory with the Astros. Yes, those Astros. He was literally invited to come play for them. Imagine a perfectly legal immigrant with feet of gold deciding to trade a life of professional soccer stardom for, well, my mom. And then for a family. Apparently, love conquers all, even a guaranteed spot on a major league team. Okay, so back in his home country, this is a true story. He was practically a legend, kicking it for the teams like El Danubio and even sharing the field with Pelé. Yes, Pelé. So he was the real deal, people, okay? Sometimes I can't help but feel he carried a quiet sadness, a subtle form of depression from not pursuing that dream. I'm getting a little misty-eyed here because I do believe, when I look back and analyze things, that he kind of wanted to die. You know, I don't know. Perhaps that's why he was an alcoholic. Now, before you clutch your pearls and get all out of shape, that word carries a negative connotation, but honestly, it was never bad. He was never abusive in any manner, and I swear we never saw him drunk. He just deeply and profoundly loved his post-work six-pack, which miraculously expanded into a 48-pack on the weekends. Always accompanied by his beloved comadres and compadres. It was less of a problem and more of like a deeply ingrained cultural tradition. So our family residency status was less about stability and more about a global game of chase the money, dictated entirely by my parents' latest financial situation. And my mom, she was perpetually in pursuit of my dad, primarily because, as I'm about to awkwardly admit, he was an incredibly handsome man. He had this natural flirty demeanor, light hair, hazel eyes, and a general aura that just screamed sexy. I might throw up. Oh God, I just called my dad sexy. Okay, yes. I just described my father as sexy, which sounds bizarre and slightly disturbing, but what I'm trying to convey is that he was genuinely quite dashing. Let me paint a clearer picture. My favorite uncle was seriously loaded, like literally had so much money. Don't ask me where he got it from. So whenever my parents grew weary of the relentless grind of labor, they'd simply declare a hiatus to Colombia and live it up. This, of course, often meant leaving me, the unwitting child manager, in charge of my siblings for months at a time. In parentheses, as I may have briefly mentioned in episode 6. It was a whole situation. So if you don't know it, please tune into episode 6 and then you'll really understand what I'm talking about. You know, saying this out loud really seals it. My dad loved everything about Colombia so much he was practically a poster child for prioritizing his own happiness. Now, I'm not sure he was actually built for all that hard work, to tell you the truth. And, you know, screen machine operator is a lot of work. It's greasy, okay? In my professional opinion, based on, you know, being his daughter, he really should have stuck to his original plan, being a famous soccer player. Imagine, we would be so rich today. It just seems like the universe made a slight miscalculation there. It's like he knew life would be short for him. So let me tell you about his legacy of Marlboro Reds and red meat. I still vividly recall the scent of him, you know, a comforting and sometimes overwhelming mix of beer and cigarettes. My dad was a dedicated pack-a-day man, a true connoisseur of Marlboro Reds. And being from a Uruguayan culture, our gastronomy was decidedly European. Think copious amounts of red meat and pasta with a token salad thrown in for good measure. Perhaps all that love for life, those Marlboros, and the endless red meat eventually caught up with his heart. The reason why, you know, this is all becoming so poetic is because he's been gone for so long and I lost him so young. My dad was just 50 when he had a massive heart attack and died. He literally died in my brother's arms with his girlfriend in the room and my mom literally screaming like a psychopath in the same house. There was no signs of sickness, nothing. On the outside, he was perfectly healthy, but we never would have known otherwise because he absolutely hated going to the doctor. And to tell you the truth, as I think back, that last year, he got really gray. His hair was gray, and his beard started going gray, too. I think we missed a lot of signs, people. He pushed his heart right to the very end, playing soccer the weekend before he passed. He truly lived his life on his own terms, even when those terms included a diet and habits that, in hindsight, were a ticking time bomb. Some of the greatest childhood memories involve our weekends at Flushing Meadow Park or watching my dad dominate the soccer field with his league. It was a glorious spectacle. All his compadres would be present. Then afterward, the men would get down to serious business, drinking beers and barbecuing, while the wives and us just kids would just hang around the park. Honestly, I have no idea how we weren't all immediately kidnapped. We literally ran wild in a park so huge you could literally lose a small country in it. It was unsupervised chaos, and it was glorious. It's weird, though, how now, as an educated adult, in parentheses, who knows far too much about therapy-inducing patterns, I look back and see all the flashing neon signs of alcoholism and regret. It's clear how that underlying depression probably propelled him straight to the heavens at such a young age. Back then, it was just dad being dad. Now it's a textbook case study in the perils of suppressed emotions. I have this truly vague, almost unbelievable memory of being on the Avianca plane. Avianca is an airline, right? It's nothing like JetBlue or anything okay? Soaring through the skies with my dad casually puffing away and flicking ash into those tiny built-in ashtrays located right in the armrest. A simpler time indeed. Today, if you even thought about lighting up on a plane, you'd probably be parachuted out over international waters. Anybody remember those little ashtrays in the armrest? If you go to Europe and you go to Ryanair, they still have those old planes where the ashtray is there. It's so cute. All right, well, it's cute because it brings back good memories. Okay. But Back then, it was just normal, right? He smoked in the car with us, his window cracked a bit, creating a delightful secondhand smoke hotbox. We just sat there, marinating in it, completely oblivious to the health implications. He even smoked in restaurants. It's wild to think that this was once socially acceptable behavior. My lungs, however, would like a word with past generations about their definition of normal, quote unquote, normal. So here's a triple tragedy. The year death came in threes. Losing my father, the parent I was so incredibly close with, precisely when I was midway through college, wasn't just a loss. It was a profound trauma that irreparably marked the rest of my life. And the strangest, most haunting part, when he died, he didn't go alone. He took his mother with him. So, true story, side note, some say she went to sleep and she just never woke up from that sheer heartbreak of losing her only son. And as if the universe wasn't done inflicting pain, he also took my maternal grandmother, who he really did love a lot. You know how they say death comes in threes? Well, it absolutely did for us. And then, poof, a baby, a little baby, the death baby who saved all of us. So that year was less cruel and more apocalyptic. It was the undisputed death year in our family calendar. The only thing that prevented us from collectively curling into a fetal position and never emerging was the arrival of my first daughter. When that precious bundle finally graced us with her presence, we affectionately and perhaps morbidly nicknamed her the death baby. I know, it's horrible. I know. Her arrival was a joyous but much needed supernova of happiness in what was otherwise a profoundly dark and morbid time. We were literally trying to pick up the pieces emotionally, mentally, and physically from my father's death. He was, after all, the household's biggest provider. So thank goodness for the death baby. She truly was our unexpected ray of sunshine, besides all the funeral thingamajigs. So let me land this plane, okay? My father, the bedrock of our existence, checked out way too early. Navigating life without that colossal presence, the man who kept my mother in check. Listen, my mother is a lot. She's absolutely nuts. And I'm telling you, he had her in check. It was a full-time job in itself, let's be honest. He kept the household humming with happiness and ensured a perpetual circle of friends. You know, to put it mildly, it is very, very hard. And you know what? As much as the years go by, I mean, we're talking about 30 plus years now. It's still hard. It's still hard. I miss him every day. And here's where the plot thickens with a dash of unintended social experiment. The moment my dad died, every single friend, every single compadre my parents had, the ones we genuinely believed were loyal to both of them, performed a synchronized disappearing act. Poof, gone, arrivederci, until no time. It turns out their loyalty was strictly a one-man show. My mother was left to grapple with that fresh wave of resentment precisely when she needed support the most. Honestly, as I've mentioned, my father was the undisputed life of the party. He was that great friend, anyone's ride or die, the kind of person everyone gravitated towards. And coincidentally, I've inherited that particular superpower. I do want to say that he lives in me, minus the whole dying young part, please, hopefully. Though our time was brief, the echoes of his presence will forever resonate within me. A love I wouldn't trade for anything. This is Liv. Thanks for tuning into It Is What It Is, noise included. Smooches and sending you lots and lots of blessings.
Grand. You gotta take a stand. You know your life is grand. Life is grand.